do mines. So we were doing a rehab season 1,
Really?
and the bathroom, our guys had demoed out the bathroom.
Really
We're doing
good.
a scene, and they're filming us.
Really?
And she's the type of person that she'll be at your house, and you'll hear like a bunch of clanging in the bathroom. That's because she was in your medicine cabinet, because she's so nosy that she's got to go through the medicine cabinet, right?
Kris Krohn here. Welcome back to the Kris Krohn Show. And I'm pretty excited about our guests today. I've got here in town Dedric and Krystal Polite from 50/50 Flip. How are you guys doing today?
We're doing great, Kris. Thank you so much for having us, man. We appreciate it.
Dude, you guys are literally like meteoric rise. You know, you put out your first season, caught fire on A&E, and then Hulu came and picked it up. And you guys are contracted for 4 years. And I got a buddy who's on A&E, Pace Morby, and I know
Good friend
that
of ours.
life is crazy when
Yes.
you're just in that game and literally trying to film each season 10 flips. That's a lot,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Tell me what it's been like the last 2 years.
It's been an incredible opportunity to be on A&E and now on Hulu. I mean, it's just amazing being able to share not just what we do in business, but also our life with the world and be able to inspire people. So I mean, we're grateful.
Yeah, it's a lot on steroids.
It's a lot on steroids.
That's what it is. It's like a lot, and then you put steroids on top of that.
Wait,
so
we're not on steroids.
I
What
know,
you talking
but
about?
he said it's like a lot. I said, yeah, if a lot was on steroids,
Okay.
that's how intense it is. It is a nonstop thing. You know, we film about 10 months out of the year, 5 days a week, 10 to 12 hours a day.
Yeah.
So it's been, and we've learned a ton though. So
Amazing. Well, and you guys were first courted by A&E. They were interviewing you, and you kept saying, "Wait, we don't flip. We're buying holders."
Yes.
Right? And I'm like, "That's my world. I get that." And they're like, "Yeah, but we got to kind of."
Yeah.
So your first flip that you ever did actually happened on TV.
there you
Our
go.
first flip was on national TV because we were renovating properties and they were following our social media, which is how they found us. But they thought we were flipping these houses. These actually are buy and holds that we were renovating. We put our rentals, we make them flip quality. So yeah, our first actual fix and flip was on national TV.
I can only imagine that there's a lot of pressure and stress to
Yes.
take that house quality up beyond what you might normally do as an investor.
Oh,
I mean,
absolutely.
when you're like over renovating, right? Like, what's it like, and how does it hit your numbers when you're trying to make it for TV?
Well, yeah, that's rule number one of investing is don't over rehab. But when
Right.
you're doing it for TV, it has to be that wow factor.
Yeah.
So I mean, we have a little tricks up our sleeve that helps us.
And it's not even them who's saying, hey, you have to over rehab the house. But you know, they don't have to say it without saying it.
Yeah.
Because the house has to meet a certain level of need.
Yes.
Right? So it can't be a pretty house that we're going in and just
Can't be
putting lipstick
cosmetic.
on it. It has to need a ton of work for that wow factor. And then our name is on it. So you still want to make it look extremely good.
And then the
taking pride in
producers will come up and they'll be like, "Are you adding a fence to this one? Are you
Right.
gonna do this?" Are you
And we're
gonna-"
like,
so they're like,
yes, we are adding
Right,
those.
They
right.
make these gentle suggestions. You're like,
Exactly.
yeah.
Got it. So I'm kind of curious, what was your original real estate model for buying and holding? You know, obviously for the show you're doing this flipping stuff. Tell me a little bit about what your current model is in just building a portfolio.
Yeah, that's why we got into the game, Kris, literally to buy and hold and build a portfolio. And when we first got started, we didn't have a lot of cash. So our mentor was like, hey, you guys need to wholesale. You don't have a lot of cash. So we started wholesaling. Our only reason we wholesale is a great exit strategy, but we wholesale to build up cash to buy and hold. And then now with flipping, you make even more profits that we can plow into our buy and holds and building a portfolio and building passive income.
Yeah. Now, there's a difference in the world between flipping and buying and holding. Where does your philosophy reside for the people that are just all flipping and the people that are all buying and holding?
You can get rich flipping and wholesaling, but you get wealthy by buying and holding. So
Long-term.
we try to teach people, especially with the TV show, everyone now wants to say, hey, listen, I want to get into flipping after seeing you guys show, or something I've always wanted to do. But they're typically looking at shows like the $1 Million Flip and these shows that have priced them out. Yeah. And they're like, I don't have $500,000. But we tell them, even with our model, we're very transparent with them. And we say, hey, listen, we flip to invest in long-term wealth.
You guys are the only ones that I know that are actually doing it what I would call the right way. Because, I mean, I meet flippers all the time, and number one regret they have is they're like, oh, yeah, I've been flipping for 10 years, and, we made millions of dollars every single year. And I'm like, cool, what do you what do you have to show? And they're like,
Right.
What do you mean? I'm like, do you have a portfolio? Like, do you have
Right.
anything residual? And the answer is always no. And I'm
No.
like, God, it's got to be seductive, like learning how to live on that hit where like it's a, feeds your Lamborghini and it feeds your rich lifestyle. But I always feel a little bit bad where it's like, yeah, but if you stop today, what happens is like, we go downhill. There's nothing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you talk to some of these guys, yeah, I've done 1,000 flips in my career, but then you're like, all right, what if you would have kept 100 of those? And you bought them 10 years ago in Nashville, and you got it for 100,000, and now all those houses are worth for $500,000. You're like, look at all that equity you missed out on.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. It's interesting because I always felt like flipping was for kind of the short-term players that are like, dude, in 90 days I need a hit. I need 40 grand to hit my bank account.
Like a drug.
Yeah, it's like a drug. It's like an addict. Versus the buy and holders, it's like, okay, they're long players. They're strategic. They slow it down a little bit. They start forecasting their financial future and they start saying, wait a second, if I could flip 1,000 homes, but if I actually just buy and hold 100 homes, I can do the math on where that'll take me 20 years from now and I'll be worth, $14.9 million. And it's like, and then I'll have X amount of cash flow. They'll be paid off. They'll be producing this. It's a different kind of game.
But here's the challenge, Kris. Buy and hold is a long-term horizon, right? So we still need today money.
Yeah.
So don't get me wrong. We love flipping. We love wholesaling, right? Even more than flipping, because wholesaling, you have very little risk. But you got to make that active income, whether it's in a business and wholesaling or flipping, but make sure you take some of that active income and plow it into passive income.
But for the two of you guys, that means that there's got to be like a ratio of we do X number of deals that are wholesales and flips and then X number of deals that are buy and holds. Like, do you have a model there?
Yeah, a lot of people have a ratio. We want to buy and hold everything. Every probably look at how can we take this down in our portfolio. And if we've exhausted all options, the last option is like, all right, we'll flip it. You forced our hand, we'll wholesale
Yeah,
it.
and it also, we look at the property in itself. So if it's a single family home that we're not really looking to buy and hold in that area, because we get deals nationwide that are sent to us and we can wholesale them because we're not going to take down some of them. So we tell people, hey, listen, if it's out of the state of North Carolina or Massachusetts or in and around our state, they have to be multifamily. We're not going to buy a 700 square foot house, one outlier in Arkansas. But for us, when we first got started, I tell people our model was for every 2 wholesale deals, we took down a buy and hold.
Got it. Yeah.
That was us getting started out every 2 to 3, depending on the wholesale deal, because we were doing Massachusetts as well. We took a property down and it was a must.
Wow. I got a kind of a weird personal question for you guys. You guys down for getting a little bit vulnerable?
Yes.
So when I started building my portfolio, I was cheap. Like, I didn't have money. I bought my first house. It was a tiny little bungalow. Bought it for $110,000. That was worth at the time $150,000. I used the equity in it a year later to buy the second house. Used the equity in the second house to add $90,000 equity to buy the third house. And for the first 25 homes that we portfolioed, we got to a point where they were paying us about $12,000 plus a month, which meant that when I graduated college, I didn't need to have a job. But that's because I was cheap. I lived on the cheap. But then something happened after that. That year, I built my portfolio up to 100 homes, and then I built it even bigger. And then my appetite kind of grew a little bit, and I custom built like this 10,000 square foot home on the golf course right outside of Sundance, and upgraded my lifestyle, my cars. And I noticed that when I upgraded my lifestyle, I was like, I got less money to buy real estate, but I'm living high on the horse. And I'm kind of curious where you guys are at. You've got a solid portfolio right now. Like, have you elevated your personal finances to a point where you ever sometimes think, oh man, we could buy more investment properties if we lived a little bit more frugal, or are you still keeping it frugal and just putting it all into real estate?
Yeah, it's a daily struggle to keep it frugal, right? Once you start making some money and getting on the other side of money. So we haven't balled out yet, with the Rollies and the Lambos and all that stuff yet, because we're still building. We're at the very beginning stages. People look at us, oh, you guys have made it, you're set.
Yeah,
we're
but
at the very
we're
beginning.
still like you. We're still frugal at that point where we're still trying to buy everything.
Yeah.
Literally.
I just feel like there's such a valuable lesson in that because I think most people, they're consumers. They're not investors. So in their mindset, they're trying to stash a little bit in a 401k or in their savings account. And then frankly, the rest of it is going to lifestyle. 62% of Americans are living check to check. And I was just so grateful when I got my start that the invitation was, hey, you want to save as much as possible and not to accumulate it, but to invest it. And it's like, you got
Mm-hmm.
to make your money work for you. Warren Buffett is known for saying, if you can't find a way to make money while you sleep, you're never going to retire. Like,
Yep.
you're never
Work
going to have
until
what
you
you
die.
need. So you're still doing it. Like, you guys are still playing the game where you're like,
Listen.
oh, we you know, there's a little temptation there.
It is. Because
We only
Dedric
in the
want
first
that
inning.
Lambo bad. And then he'll say, you know what? No, I'm still just hold off. Let me get some more
We only in the first inning of the
portfolio.
game, so we early.
I like it. No, you guys are in a really beautiful spot. Let's kind of let's go back in time a little bit and talk about like your starts. Because you guys have been married for 9 years
Yes.
and you got 2 little boys,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Yes.
And so, you know, you're young and, you know, you're on your 2nd season and it's been picked up by Hulu and you've got a bright future ahead of you, like a whole new world of possibility coming your way. But were you always this way?
Hell no.
No. We didn't start. We like to say we started from the bottom. I grew up in Boston, Massachusetts. I'm from a small town in South Carolina. Though. Both my parents from a real small town. Grew up in Boston, inner city neighborhood, plagued by drugs, violence. I still have PTSD to this day from childhood friends getting murdered and shot.
Are you
and
serious?
Yeah.
Would you say that you grew up in poverty?
Oh, yeah.
for
Yeah,
sure.
my mom, single mom on Section 8. She was a secretary. She never made more than 40 grand a year, but she poured into me financial education, right? So when I was in college, she made me get a secure credit card. I didn't know why, but it was because once I got out of college, so I'd have a great credit score. And guess what? I graduated college, I had a 750 credit score. So she set me up, even though she never owned a house,
Yeah.
she set me up to be a homeowner and be a business owner.
Was she surprised when you went to college? Like, was that kind of normal?
Well, that was the expectation, is to go to college, right?
Yeah.
Growing up in poverty in South Carolina, my family was big on education. They're
Yeah,
like,
but education doesn't make you rich. I mean,
There you
education
go.
makes
No.
you a cog in someone else's machine to work for somebody
There
else,
you
and
go.
that's not bad. But you don't break free out of the system the way you have. So,
No.
what did
Right.
you go to college for? What did you become? And then there had to be a moment of transition where you're like, like something has to change.
Totally. I went to Amherst College in Massachusetts, full academic scholarship. Again, a lot of my classmates became lawyers, investment bankers, doctors. I majored in sociology, right? So I didn't know what the hell I wanted to do until one summer I sold Cutco knives and I learned how to sell.
My wife sold Cutco knives in college.
Yes.
She did not learn how to sell because I think we only sold 2 of them, and one of them was to her parents.
No, I ended up selling $100,000 worth of Cutco, put myself through college.
Did you like take the penny and like deface the like and
Snap
cut the
the
penny?
penny,
Like,
it
Yes,
look
flew
at
everywhere.
how cool these scissors are.
Yeah, but that's
See this leather? Watch, I can cut
Yeah.
right. Okay,
I was
I
that
know.
kid.
You sure did.
I was that kid, but that put me through college,
Yeah.
and that sales skill has taught me skills for life, right?
Yeah.
I still use sales every day to this day.
You know, it's interesting. I always tell people, they're like, hey, if I want to be an entrepreneur, if I want to get into real estate, like, where do I start? And I'm like, honestly, before you start a business, go get a 100% commission sales job.
Yep.
Learn how to
because,
sell.
because learning how to sell is, it's kind of like entrepreneurship is hard.
Yeah.
And sales is hard. But if you can sell, you're probably going to figure out how to be a little bit of a rainmaker in
Absolutely.
entrepreneurship, right?
If you
Yep.
can sell, you never go broke. That's what my
Yep.
mentor told me.
And
Yeah.
that's exactly what we're gonna do with our boys.
I love that.
You're gonna start off knowing how to sell,
Yeah.
whether they want to or not. Like I've always had a fear of it. I've never been interested in it. That's like, dude, you're a natural salesperson. And I say, okay, well, you're not calling it sales.
Yeah.
But it's a skill that a lot of people have a fear of.
Yeah, it's true. Krystal, what was your background?
Same thing. So single parent household. My mother had 4 children. We actually now live in the small town that I'm from in North Carolina, which is how we got back to North Carolina. My mother and his mother, ironically, moved to Massachusetts probably like a year apart from each other.
Really?
Never knew each other. In the late 80s, my mom, single parent, 4 children, she said the same thing. Listen, she taught me to learn from her mistakes and other people's mistakes. So she said, go to college and enjoy your life.
Yeah.
Don't put burdens on yourself. Do this while your headaches and your worries are my worries. So that's what I did. I went to college. I always knew I was an entrepreneur. So my first year in college, I ended up writing, producing, and directing a stage play. Ended up taking it on a little college tour with a partner of mine, and it went amazing. Other than me getting robbed out of every dime we made,
Yeah.
because I didn't know the business side of it.
Yeah.
So once I found out we were making $15,000 a show, I'm being told we made 1,000
Yeah.
type scam. So then I stopped abruptly. I was a dancer by trade growing up. I was a professional dancer, but I've always known I was going to work for myself. I've always had a job.
Well, tell them about age 3. You know what you told your mom you want
Age
to
3,
be.
my mother said, I told her immediately I'm going to be an attorney and I'm going to own my own law firm and I'm going to hire homeless people and train them to work for me.
Wow.
And I was
That's
telling her that
incredible.
at 3. So she knew, and it didn't change until I went to college around my second year after I did the stage play. And then it was just that aha moment for me where I was like, wow, I love this. And I was going to college originally for law. That was everything to me. That I said, you know what, I want to do entrepreneurship steady instead. And that's kind of where I pivoted at that point. And then I met Dedric, and his aha moment was me. That would be his
You were the
aha
muse
moment.
that I needed.
Yes.
You gave me the kick in the pants that I needed.
Why did you need a kick in the pants?
So I was what's called an entrepreneur. I had all the books, I had all the tape. In the 90s, Kris, I used to watch Carlton Sheets.
Yeah.
The old, like, No Money Down. I was like, damn, it would be cool to be one of those guys. But
So you're spending the money, you're
My mom had
trying
the
to get the
tapes.
knowledge and the information, but you weren't taking action.
No, I was afraid, right? I was comfortable. I had a nice college degree. I had a company car. I wore a suit and tie to work every day. I had my own house. I was comfortable, but I knew I didn't want to be a cog in someone else's wheel.
Yeah.
But I was afraid of failing. I didn't want to go back to being broke, how I grew up. I was afraid of success. It was a lot of
Did that
fears
lead?
that I had.
Did the fear lead to procrastination?
Oh, hell yeah. Ton of procrastinating.
Absolutely.
So how did Krystal change all that for you?
Well, you just met Krystal, but she's a firecracker, so she can motivate a freaking dead person to get up and do something with their life. And she motivated me.
Yeah, when I met Dedric, he was, he would have been what people call, like, in Boston, that pinnacle type dude. Like, you look at him and women would flock to him. Like, he had everything put together. Like, he had the
tells no
high-paying
lies.
job, the nice brand new car, motorcycle, his own property, his own house. So women flocked to him. And when I met him, you could see that he wasn't arrogant, but you could see he still thought highly of himself. And when I remember us having a conversation one day when we first met, and I was like, oh, you all right? I mean, you okay? He was like, what? What do you mean? I said, look, you all right? I mean, you know what you want me to say? And he was like, what are you talking about? Like, I mean, I'm educated, and I said, you are. I said, and with me, I'm going to show you exactly how far you can go. I said, because I don't think you have even scratched the surface of what you're truly capable of. And I don't think it's ever been revealed to you. And when I met Dedric, it was more so he was on easy street. He was comfortable where he was, but I knew there was so much more in him.
Were you always this way, Krystal, or did you have a moment in your life where you're like, oh my gosh, I get it. I don't want to be part of the, zombie apocalypse of sleepwalkers, of people going through motions. Like, what turned your fire on?
No, I was always like this.
Yeah.
From day one, my mother said she knew exactly where I was headed.
So you were an activator,
Yes,
and you activated this man.
absolutely. And it's crazy because I tell people when we first met, and this is crazy because the story has went viral. But when we first met, like I told you, our first date was a business meeting. And after that business meeting, he was like, I really want to be with you. And, I really want to start this relationship. And I said, oh, okay. I said, yeah, no, you're not ready. He was like, what? No, I'm ready.
She gave me the
I wanna be
stiff
with
arm,
you.
like, you ain't ready for a woman like
And
me.
I said, no, you're not. I said, but go away for a year. Live your life. Enjoy yourself. Travel. Party. Sleep with other women. Go out of state. Travel the world. Ride your motorcycle. Come back in a year. And if you still want to get in a relationship, then we'll revisit this. No, what do you mean? No, I want to be with you. And I said, no, because you're not ready right now. And I know if I would have forced him, did I want to be with him? Absolutely. Did I know I was going to be with him? Yeah. But I knew he wasn't ready for a relationship like I was, where I was mentally. I knew he still had some partying to do. I knew he still needed to sow his, and that's what I told him. I said, go off and sow your royal oats. And he fought it for like 2 weeks, calling me nonstop. I wouldn't answer.
You know how it is, fellas. You think you're being tricked. You think it's like, all right, and they tell they tell me the truth, but they don't really want to hear the truth. And so I'm like, I'm being played here. Like she's trying to, but she was really serious. And everybody I met who knew her was like, look, you're never gonna meet a realer person than Krystal, and she meant it. And it wasn't what I wanted to hear, but that's what needed to happen because I was in my late 20s. I was living a Playboy lifestyle. I was, living my best life, and that's what happened.
Yeah, and I wasn't going to force that. And a lot of women will turn all those red flags green. And I'm just not her, right? I would rather us meet at a time where we're both ready for the same thing versus me saying, hey, listen, I'm going to make you ready. I'm not giving no ultimatums to a man. That's what a lot of women do. I would rather you go out and live your life. And if it's meant to be, then God will bring you back around. We'll circle back around and our paths will meet.
And a year later, this happened?
A year later, he came back.
Not exactly.
No, he did. A year later, he came back. Now, like I told him, if you're ready, come back in a year and we'll revisit this. Nowhere in that story did you hear me say I was just going to wait around. So I was dating when he came back around.
So I came back and she's in a relationship with someone.
It wasn't like a relationship.
So, yeah, once
I was dating.
And then she ghosted me. So I was trying to get back in touch with her. She wouldn't answer my phone calls. She wouldn't reply to my texts. So like now I got to show up at your house. So I go to her apartment, and I'm not that dude. I've never chased any females. So now I go to her apartment, and I see her cars outside, and I'm like, all right, I know she's in there. So I go into the apartment building, and I'm listening at the door, and I'm like, I am certifiably crazy right now. I've never done this in life, but I knew it before. But that's when I knew she was the one. And one day she accidentally picked up the phone, and she hasn't been able to get rid of me since.
Wow.
Yeah, but I tell people, it was more so I needed him to be where he wanted to be at that point in time and not where I wanted him to be. Yeah. And it wasn't a matter of, like I tell people on our first date, and someone had asked me, when I asked him his credit score, Dedric had like an 810 credit score. And I told him I had like a 540 or something. And they was like, well, you got a nerve, you asking him? And I said, yeah, because I was rebuilding mine. Yeah. I said, no, I wouldn't have said, no, I'm not dating you if you had a 600. It would have told me then, okay, where do I have to be? Now, how do we have to move in helping him rebuild his credit as well? To me, it was all about transparency.
We're going on a date for the first time. First question out of my mouth, credit score, go. I'm like, whoa.
That's right to it.
That's some seriousness right there.
And it's more so about people get in relationships or just go out on dates. And we get this at every conference. We will have hundreds of people waiting in line to speak to us. And it's more so about the relationships aspect than even the real estate. And it's more so because of how we met. Yeah. And I tell people it's really because when I said, hey, what's your credit score? What's your goals? Are you an entrepreneur? I was asking him that because I knew, for me, I'm an entrepreneur. And if I was going to marry a guy, he had to be an entrepreneur. Wow. Now, could you not have a W-2? Absolutely, you could have a W-2. But I know to understand my mindset and understand if I said, hey, listen, I want to go all in on this business, you were going to have to be an entrepreneur to understand why I would think this.
Now, within the first 2 months of starting dating, you guys kind of kicked up your first business, didn't you?
Yes.
Yeah. I was working at a job for a tech company in Cambridge. I missed my sales quota 2 quarters in a row, and I got fired. And I had a new car just bought. I had a motorcycle. I had a house payment. So I'm all depressed. I'm moping around the house. I just got canned. She let me wallow in my misery for a couple of weeks. And then she came to my house. She was like, dude, what the hell are you doing? You wearing the same clothes. You're not shaving. Like, what are you doing with your life? And I was like, oh, I just got laid off. She was like, first of all, you're going to get on unemployment and get that check for a few weeks and figure out what you want to do. She was like, you're going to clear your head. You're going to ride your motorcycle. And you're going to really focus on what Dedric wants to do. And for the first time, she flipped the whole perspective. First time in my life, I was off the treadmill. I wasn't in school. I wasn't working a job. And I really got to sit back like, damn, what the hell do I really want to do?
Right.
I started consulting, started teaching marketing. I got a guest speaking engagement at Harvard Innovation Lab in Boston. All those things within a month of that conversation. And then we started doing Airbnb. I was like, hey, I figured out a way we can make money. She was like, what? I was like, there's this thing called Airbnb. It was in 2012.
Yep.
I was like, a guy I work with told me every time he goes to New York, he rents out his apartment in Cambridge and makes, pays for his trip to New York. I'm like, so you're always over at my place. Let's rent out your apartment because you're staying over here all the time. And I was like, oh, wait, well, your brother is staying at your place. And she was like, hold on. He was staying there. She calls her brother up and she's like, Kevin, you got 2 weeks.
Yep.
You got 2 weeks. Now, he wasn't paying rent, right? And she gave him a 2-week notice, and then we started renting out her apartment on Airbnb.
So the feeling that I get a little bit, Dedric, is that you're analytical and you like to weigh things out. You like to understand things. You're super methodical. That's kind of what you bring to your business.
Yep.
And then, Krystal, you come in and you drop the hammer and say, off your ass. It's time to go.
Yep.
Is this the way this relationship goes down?
I am a true visionary. So
Yeah,
even
yeah.
when he got fired, I said, look, F that job. The job lost you. You didn't lose that damn job. You're going to get out there and you're going to now find your true passions. I said, we don't give a damn about that job.
And it sounds like it works for you guys.
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Because we both bring to the relationship and the business different strengths, and we stay in our lanes. I don't handle the numbers like Dedric do, and I don't try to. Dedric is amazing at what he does. His strengths are my weaknesses.
Yeah.
So, and I love that about him. And I stay in my lane. So when people start talking, hey, do you want to do X, Y, and Z, evaluating deals, things of that nature. Now, can I? Yes, because he's taught me this. But do I know? Because that's his lane.
It's a very rare combination to have two entrepreneurs that can actually work well together and do it very functionally. My mom and dad tried working together when I was a kid growing up in their business. And it sometimes was colossal. My dad's German, my mom's Irish, and those two could fight. And my dad always told me growing up, he says, don't be an entrepreneur, whatever you do. And I'm like, because to him, being an entrepreneur was, he came from war-torn Germany, moved to America in his 30s, and we moved to Redmond, Washington, up in the Seattle area. Redmond is now known for Microsoft land. And so every 10th person up in that area worked for Microsoft, and every 10th of those people was a millionaire. My dad just said, go to college, get good grades, and like that right there, there's a golden parachute. He didn't tell me it was a golden handcuff because he wasn't educated, very much. And then, for him, it was just like entrepreneurship is a hard life. So I fought it really, really hard. Like this must be the thing to do. But it's super ironic today that I am an entrepreneur. That is where I found my bliss. But I don't work with my wife. Like she's full stay at home, doesn't really participate in the business. It's 100% not her jam. So I love the power couple dynamic about how you guys activate each other and how you really lean into each other's skills. It's a very beautiful thing because you basically both started off in that college arena and then you graduated yourself from working for others to working for yourself.
Yep.
And look at where it's brought you today. You guys aren't just in real estate. There's a number of other games financially that you're playing, including what else are you guys doing?
So once we got into real estate, which was Dedric's goal, his dreams, and I said, listen, I'm all in. Let's do this. One of the things was that he said to me was he knew what my dreams were. And he said, listen, we can utilize real estate in order to make your dreams come true and your goals.
So her dream is to own a chain of family entertainment centers. So think Dave and Buster's. So we actually purchased the rights to Sky Zone Trampoline Park, which is the largest trampoline park franchise in the world. So we purchased the rights in our city. So we're going to be building a 40,000 square foot. It's a $5 million project. And she doesn't just want to own one. We're going to own a chain of those. So that's one of the businesses that we're investing in. And if it wasn't for investing in real estate and having assets, we would not be able to do that. And then we're going to be buying other businesses as we go along as well.
So you guys have this real estate portfolio. You want to own businesses. Someone's inevitably got to ask, what do you prefer, owning real estate or business? Like compare and contrast them.
For me, I'm going to say businesses because that's what I ultimately wanted to do. Was anything that has to do with children has really been ideal for me. So anything that has to do with family entertainment centers is what a passion of mine is. His is real estate.
Well, mine is actually both. I love real estate, right? Real estate is how we built a lot of our wealth. But I know in businesses, you can even make higher returns in real estate. Instead of a 20, 30, 40% return, you can get 100%, 1,000% return from some businesses as far as ROI.
Yeah, so I came out with a book last year, and it's all about 5 major ROIs: single digit, double digit, triple digit, quadruple digit. And the purpose of the book is really to talk about the fact that most people are bred into the mindset of 401ks and IRAs and the stock market. Those are all single digit.
Right.
And everyone knows that money can compound, But what people don't know is that single digit does not compound meaningfully for many lifetimes, because single digit compounding, it takes forever, hundreds of years to have it become something. But if you can graduate to double digit, like real estate doing 25 or 35%, a double digit can actually then make you rich in a lifetime, not 7 lifetimes. So it's like, and so people get caught up on strategy, but actually I just get caught up in ROI, because it's like, actually, if you can find a way to produce a double digit ROI, you now make wealth in this life real. And then if you graduate to triple and quadruple digit, that happens from owning business. And owning business in some ways can be harder than real estate, because I think that there's more complexities to marketing, selling, fulfilling, employees.
Right.
There's a lot of details there, but you're right. Business then is like a major accelerator, whereas it's like, well, real estate over time on a buy and hold, if you blink and 2 decades pass, you're gonna have millions of dollars in your portfolio, but I can also buy a business and make millions of dollars quicker, because it's about an active cash flow play, not a valuation increase.
Yes.
Yes.
So there's value in definitely both of them.
Absolutely. Which is why we've said, listen, this is our exit strategy, right? And this is also transferable. What I love about it is that this is something tangible that we can really pass down to our children's children's children. We can't pass down a W-2 to them.
Yeah. Why do you think it's so important for you to pass something on to the next generation?
To stop that generational poverty.
Yeah.
We come from that. And, a lot of people understand and know that most wealth that has been accumulated is typically gone within one generation.
Yeah.
So for us, it's not enough for our children. Our children are going to be okay. For me, it's more so about our children's children.
Yeah.
To really leave a legacy that outlives us, so that 2 to 3 generations of ours can benefit from our work.
So this is kind of interesting. I want to put you on the spot again a little bit, make it uncomfortable potentially.
Get it?
When you come from poverty, it produced in you a hunger to break the chain.
There you go.
And the question is, if you had been trust fund babies, would you have turned out different? Would you have met your potential? Would there have been enough pain to drive you to succeed?
I think it comes down to the individual person's DNA and their makeup. So I know I went to kids' school with some trust fund babies, and some of them slacked off, and mommy and daddy took care of everything. But some of them were actually diligent, and they ended up becoming doctors, lawyers, entrepreneurs. So it comes down to that person's makeup and their personality.
Yeah, I think you're built a little different when nothing has ever been handed to you.
Yeah.
I think when you really, truly had to get it out of the mud, it teaches you values that you're not getting once something has been handed to you. So, and I can say this because even our children, right? Every generation wants to go one step further than their parents did for them. So my mother said her goal for us to first at least be able to go one step further than she would able to do for us.
Yeah.
Our children will never know the struggles that we went through. Yeah. Like, we tell them certain things now, and I'll show them homes that I lived in North Carolina, and they are floored. Yeah. Like, you lived in that house? Oh my God, did it look like that? And I'm like, yeah, it looked just like that. But they're not gonna know the same and have the same testimony that we have. Which is why we work as hard as we work. I'm not going to work this hard for our children to go through the same poverty that we went through.
But they're going to have to work for it, though.
But we're also not giving them anything.
Yeah. No, I love that. My buddy, his daughter just turned 18. And for her graduation, he said, here's a house I bought. He has a big portfolio. And he said, I'm gifting you 10% of this ownership in exchange for you working with the property management company and making sure it's properly managed. And he says, every year for the next 10 years, I'm going to give you 10% more as long as you keep the agreement on managing it properly.
I like that.
So there's an exchange. And he says, in 10 years, this home will have spun off several homes, and you could have a net worth of $2 million, but you have to earn it.
See, I love that.
You don't appreciate something until you earn it, right? One of our mentors says, when you pay for something, you pay attention. Somebody gives you something for free, and you don't have to earn it. You don't appreciate it as much as if you actually put something out for it.
One of my kids were sitting at the breakfast table once, and they said, Dad, we're rich. And I said, no. No. Let's be really clear. I'm rich.
My son said the same thing the other day.
Yeah.
He said, we. I said, no, me and your mom.
Right. You speaking French now.
Oui.
Look, you take Spanish in school. Why are you speaking French?
Yeah.
And it's funny that was what your friend did, because that was my goal getting into real estate. We both had our own goals. My goal in getting into real estate was I just said, listen, let me accumulate 2 multifamilies. That's it. That's what I wanted to be able to say I could do, and give 1 to each son as they graduated from college. And either they can take the property and become instant landlords and get the cash flow, or sell it and start a business. Those were the only 2 options. But I really like his method of taking that 10%. But that was my goal for getting into real estate, was just really to accumulate 2 properties for them.
So are you going to pass your wealth on to your children? Or,
Absolutely.
And how do you do that responsibly so that they don't take it for granted?
They got to earn it. Like you said, stepped up basis, they got to earn it. We don't have the plan fully baked out like that yet, but they got to earn it.
Yeah. So, and the good thing about us is because we've been fortunate enough to buy so many portfolios, we've seen the other end of the spectrum. And one thing is, our sons have been in the business before they knew they were in the business. So since they were born, all they know is real estate. And they work in the business. They go to these properties, they walk these properties, they clean these properties up. Everything that we've done in these properties, they do in these properties. And we do that just because, like I said, we're on the other end of the spectrum, where we're buying these portfolios that it took people 50, 60 years to accumulate. And as soon their parents passed away, and their children are selling it a month, 2 months later.
Yeah.
And I told him that appreciation isn't there. And I told him, for our kids, we're not giving you anything. You have to earn this.
Yeah.
But we also don't have that luxury of not passing on that wealth as well. But our children, I want them to have a deep appreciation, love, and respect for everything that their parents have went through to build this for them, to understand that, hey, now that we are passing something on, they respect it enough to say, listen, I respect what my parents have went through, and we're going to keep this going.
I love it. We're going to do rapid fire now, okay?
Yeah.
How do you resolve disagreements?
I usually let her win. You know, happy wife, happy life. So
Yep.
Is that about right, Krystal?
Sound about right.
So just to be clear, when there's an argument, you win.
When there's an argument.
She wanted to be a lawyer, so she got to get the last word. So I'll let her have it.
I sure do. Now, I would say this, unless it is something that has to do with financing.
Yeah, certain things with the business, though.
That has to do with the business. If it has to do with financing, he's typically going to get the last say. But anything else, it's me.
How do you resolve design concerns on the real estate when deciding how much to put into a home?
So 2 different things, design and then money. So I let her handle the design decisions, but they got to make financial sense. So she does have a budget.
So you got a little bit of a checks and balance there.
Yeah, she don't get to go crazy. It's got to be within reason. It's got to make.
He'll tell me the budget.
It's got to make an ROI.
How do you guys invest in your relationship when you're so busy with 10 to 12 hours a day of production and work in the business?
That's a struggle. That's a struggle. But I think because we work together every day, for us is having date nights, and not just having like for me, going to dinner is cute. It is. But if you don't know by now, I'm not really into cuteness. Like, don't bring me flowers. And not because they're not beautiful and I wouldn't appreciate them. It's just because they die. I would rather you put that money in something that lives, that makes sense, that I can hold on to. So for me, comedy shows. He knows, like, my love language is acts of service. His is touch. So when we're doing date nights, he knows what I would love, like a comedy show. For me, it's just, he needs date nights. Like, he needs it. For his love language, if I get him a massage, it's like, oh, thank you. Like, that we know each other's love language. So I think for us, it's just figuring out the time aspect. But we're together.
Yeah.
So even on our date nights, our rules, we can't talk business because all the other times we're talking business. So you gotta have some boundaries on that, right? Yeah, we gotta catch ourselves up. We're not talking about business. It's date night.
When we're on the weekends, everything is about our kids. We have boundaries with that. So when people text us and they're calling us, I'm like, what's today? Is it Saturday? What do we do on Saturday? Do you think I want to hear about this shit today? Then follow the rules. I will talk to you Monday. There's no reason why you should ever text me on Saturday or Sunday in regards to something that can be handled on Monday. If something hadn't burned down, don't call us.
If a new investor reaches out to you and says, advice for a new investor, what's the best advice you can offer them?
For me, it would be don't give up before the breakthrough. A lot of new investors give up after having one or two setbacks, right? They lost, if you're getting into it wholesaling, they can't find cash buyers. They can't find marked deals. They're not consistent, and they give up before that true breakthrough is about to happen. We could have done that within a year's time easy. And we did it. We made a conscious decision to see it through, to get that belief check. And so many people come up to us before and like, oh man, I was trying, but I gave up. Like, I wasn't seeing no traction. But that was 3 years ago. Imagine where you would have been if you'd have kept going.
Wow.
Yeah, my advice is get a coach, get a mentor. How do you find that person that should coach and mentor you? Find someone that's doing what you want to do. They're already doing it. They've got a proven track record that they got receipts that they can show you, and then follow that tried and true model.
Currently, too.
Yeah, relevant to
Not
what's
20
happening
years
today.
ago.
Today, not what they did 40 years ago, but today.
When an episode comes out, I'm imagining that there's got to be like a favorite moment in the episode that you really like to watch. What's your favorite part of every episode?
So the crazy part, Kris, is that we don't see the episodes of our TV show until everyone else sees them on national TV. We don't see any cuts, any rough cuts. So when we're watching it, we're watching with the rest of the nation for the first time. So we don't know what's going to make the cut and what's not going to make it. So that keeps it interesting.
Yeah. I think the funniest part in all the episodes really is...
Oh, when you reached into the hole in the floor in the toilet?
I wouldn't even talk about that.
Oh, okay.
It's just really the unknown, because it is documentary style. So they shoot, A&E is documentary, nothing is scripted. So what they're seeing is truly us going into properties. Nothing is scripted. You're seeing whatever we're saying and seeing is we're seeing for the first time. So we didn't come and see it, left out, and then we coming back so the cameras can see it. They purposely will not let us into a house.
Just to see our raw reaction when we walk in, like, this isn't how it's supposed to be. Like, they want the raw real.
So I think the part where people were, from just even the feedback, is just the rawness from both of us because of Dedric's rawness when it comes to the numbers. And mine is just the humor that I bring and the bluntness that I bring to the situation. So I think just the play off of people seeing people that look like them and that there is like their next door neighbor.
Wow. Most embarrassing moment on TV.
Most embarrassing moment for Krystal was...
What are you talking about for me?
Doghouse.
What about for you?
You can do mine. So we were doing a rehab season 1,
Really?
and the bathroom, our guys had demoed out the bathroom.
Really,
we're doing
dude?
a scene, and they're filming us.
Really?
And she's the type of person that she'll be at your house, and you'll hear like a bunch of clanging in the bathroom. That's because she was in your medicine cabinet, because she's so nosy that she's got to go through the medicine cabinet, right? She gets in your car, she got to go in the glove box. That's how my wife
what
is.
we doing.
She's just curious. So she reached it was a hole in the bathroom floor, and everybody knows in the bathroom floor there's a hole, what that is. So she reached her hand in and like came up with some fudge on her fingers.
Oh, no.
And the cameras caught it. And she was like, are you rolling? They were like, yeah, we're rolling.
Oh my gosh.
So I won't let her live that
Curiosity
down.
killed the cat.
Yeah.
Went too far.
A little fudge.
But obviously everybody didn't know because I had never, even all the houses that we rehabbed, I'd never been in the house that had our entire bathroom demo. By the time I come in, it's when my walls are up, my tile is up, my floor is down. Like, that's when I'm coming in. So I thought it was just a brick, like some cement on the floor. So I reached in and I went to try and pull it up, and it wasn't coming up. So when I came up, of course, it had the brown stuff on my hand. I was like, what in the world? And Dedric was like, really?
And then she blamed me. She was
And
like,
I'm
why'd
like,
you
what?
let
I
me
was
reach
like,
my
what
hand
is
in
this
there?
stuff?
I'm like,
And
as a
he's like,
husband, you know how it is.
You don't know what that is? I'm like, no, what is it? Really? I was like, dude, what the hell is it? And then he tells me, I'm like, why you wouldn't let me just reach into it? Like, everybody stood here watching
Dedric,
me.
you can't win, bro.
And the crazy thing is, they had already cut on the cameras. So we're all in there just talking about the design, because I think the They had put the tile on the floor and the floor on the freaking walls, the different tiles, and they had said cut. But their motto is, what is it they say?
Always be shooting. They said cut, but the camera's always rolling.
Always be shooting. So they never really cut.
Yeah.
So they were filming the whole time, and our showrunner was like, there go my Emmy. I was like, I can't believe y'all asses really was recording me while he was like, listen, we're never truly cut.
Wow. Most victorious moment.
Season 2, I would definitely say, season 2, getting through that season finale episode. If we're talking show-wise, it was getting through that season finale episode. That was the biggest stretch of us converting a duplex crack house into a single family that became like the
new construction
gem of the neighborhood.
Wow.
Where everyone from the neighborhood, and it's a historic district, so it's nothing but old money in that neighborhood. And this was like that outlier house. So you had everyone coming to see this house completely transformed, but it was also the biggest challenge when it came to flipping. So I think that was the most victorious and the most heartfelt is both seasons where we're able to provide that affordable housing. So those are the episodes that gives the most feedback.
Yeah.
Where we get thousands and thousands and thousands of letters, emails, DMs based off of the people that we end up giving affordable housing to, charging them $400, $500 of rent a month. But we tell people the show can only shoot that, the network can only shoot it because we've been doing it before the cameras ever stopped rolling. That's a part of our business model. Why we always incorporate short-term rentals into our long-term rentals so we can provide that affordable housing. We're small investors compared to a lot, but we like making an impact in our communities where we can keep some affordable housing.
Wow. I think for me, Kris, the biggest wins is just helping people, teaching people the knowledge that we know. So when one of our students closes their first deal or does their first flip, that's a high for me because I remember that experience of doing our first one and getting that belief check. So seeing our students achieve that success really gives me that satisfaction.
Beautiful. If people want to find you, where do they go?
They go to politewealthportal.com. That's our website. We do free trainings, we do accelerators, and we also, they can go to Be Polite Properties. So all things Be Polite on Instagram, YouTube, Be Polite Properties, or politewealthportal.com.
Wow, beautiful. You guys, what an amazing, beautiful life you have. Family, relationship. You've found like beautiful chemistry in how you're doing it. And I'm excited to just be a part and get a chance to witness the incredible success that you guys are having and all the people that you're helping. Thank you so much for being on the Kris Krohn Show, and we'll see you guys next time.